Namaste, everybody. Today I am going to walk you through my homeschool planner. You can check out the Shoparishi for my and Dr. Shannon Crozier's awesome resource guide for a simple start to joyful homeschooling. I'll put a link in this post for you to do that. And I will link to all of the amazing homeschool parents that I will be referring to throughout this video, so that if you feel inspired to go and check out any of their planning pages or any of the other really incredible resources that they have to offer, it'll be made easy for you. So, as we begin, you will see this is simply a binder. This is a ratty old cheesy cheapy binder that I already had in my house the first year we started homeschooling, which was now 7 years ago. And I just started to put things in there. The first year I created a binder or a planner rather, and I have stuck with this same binder ever since. I had some cute inspirational scrapbooking paper to make it a little bit zhuzhed up. And then this year I found this really sweet quote in the Waldock Ways planning pages. So I've printed that and actually slid it right in the little folder aspect of the cover to give it a little bit extra sweet and juiciness. Now, you can plan your homeschool absolutely any way that you want. I know some people who use a simple spiral notebook and they just keep notes, or a bullet journal and they just have little notes going all the time. I know some people who don't plan at all on paper. I know some people who don't plan either way, digitally or on paper. It's really all about customization, and that frankly is actually why I use a simple large binder, because I can be adding and subtracting to this binder as much as I want, as much as I need. It allows me to feel the freedom of kind of just continuing to go with the flow. Things are always shifting and changing, and this way I have flexibility in my plan book to go along with our life. And another reason that I really like using a binder is you can see, so this year we're going into grade 7 when I'm making this video for you. This is last year's binder. I just very, very simply take everything out, put a cute little binder clip on it, and then this gets filed away with anything else hard copy that we're keeping from the previous year. And it's really good for me to do this early on, as soon after we end a year as possible, and then to get my binder set up for the upcoming year, so that as throughout our break time I am making plans for the next year, it's all ready to go. And that is the stage that I'm at here today. And I thought, let me just open this up and give you a look inside before I mark it all up. So another reason I like a binder, now another system that works really well in addition to a binder but is very similar, is a disc ring system. And I just didn't even know what that was when I started out. So this is what I used, but my best friend, Dr. Shannon Crozier, actually uses a disc ring binder, and she really loves that. And it works really similarly. You can just very simply slide things in and out whenever you want to change it up. But one of the things that I like about a binder is that you have these little extra pockets kind of on the front and back inside flaps. I think those are really handy. I always keep this big life journal guide for solving problems. We have some cards that we printed from them a few years ago that are my daughter's, and then I keep these in the planner so that I have all the steps that coincide with these, and I can help guide her through that. And it's just one of those quick little resources that I like to reference every once in a while. So it's just right here, easy to access in my homeschool planner. So you'll see as we're going through, I really like color. So I have to keep my binder visually appealing to me with lots of different fun colors. So I make divider pages for each section by using these divider folder flap pages, and I just print out a colorful piece of cardstock with the label for each section. They're also in this size of a binder. It's just, they're a little bit easier than when I've tried to use dividers with tabs on them. I don't usually see the tabs. They kind of stick inside the pages, but these stick out. They're a little bit larger than the pages. So this works for me. Of course, you can totally do whatever you want. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing and know that it has evolved and changed a little bit every year. I seem to go in like 2-year spurts of kind of doing almost the exact same thing, but then there's always like around that 3rd or 4th year, there's always some shift that I make to the way I need to see things, or what we're doing changes, and therefore it needs to be planned for a little bit differently. So again, flexibility is key. So in this first section, I have our yearly overview, and the first thing that I always see is this year overview seasonal plan. I like to think in terms of seasons, and around coming into grade 3, I discovered the Learning Well community online, Alicia Hutchinson's awesome Learning Well community. And I actually did, and I highly recommend if you're a new homeschooler to do this, I actually did her homeschool planning course. It's really short, sweet, and simple, very encouraging and supportive, and you get loads and loads of printables and resources that you'll be able to use for years going forward, even if you do what I do, which is kind of blend a bunch of different types of planning methods all in one binder. I really recommend doing that. And why I'm thinking of it now is because she was the first person to really make me feel like I had permission to think about my planning the same way as I think about everything else in my life. And I tend to really think in seasons. And so I have these 3 blocks for autumn, winter, and spring. And then I'll just fill in as we're going along with the planning process, any specific things that I really want to target, or things where I'm like, oh, around winter is when I want to do an African American unit study, or in the fall, let's, make sure that we go to the pumpkin patch or something like that. It's a little bit more broad stroke if I'm going to be shifting unit studies, or if I have something that's going to be going along for a whole season, I can write it and just kind of put an arrow. And so I open my planner up on a monthly basis, and I just take a quick look here and see, are we still on track with those things that I wanted to do? Do they still make sense? Erasable pens are awesome. Colorful erasable pens. I should put a link to those in this post as well. My favorite ones, I will put a link in there because that's great. You can shift things all around whenever you want to. And then I go right into ideas, plans, and goals pages. Now, I usually just use a notebook, like loose leaf paper, and I just have all kinds of things written all over it. I am going to be a little fancier this year, as I found this sweet page in the Waldock Way planner printable pages. And I thought this is really great. I plan this year to do a little bit of an overview thing here. So these little headers are going to have the course of study topics that I need to plan for in my daughter's grade 7 course of study. We're going to be focusing on a few different units. And it could also be anything else that I really want to make sure to remember to consider while I'm making our plans. Now, I've customized even the plan pages that were in the Waldock Way planner, which is actually a planner that you buy. Some people have free printables, and I have some of those, and some people's are so great that I'm totally happy to pay for them. And they're really never very expensive when you go to a great homeschool mom blog. You're supporting such a great person doing a great thing, and they're really worthy of that, a little uptick in their financial support, but they never charge very much. So I highly recommend supporting anyone that you find that you can. No, even though she had a really great system, it still wasn't exactly right for me. So I made this page, and then on the back, she had a notes page, and I was like, well, I'm still going to need the place for kind of the brain dump stuff. And so I just made a 2-sided document that has this on the back side, so I can kind of reference back and forth, and I can print as many of those out as ideas come to me, as requests from my daughter come to me. I can just keep adding them. And then this is my own little thingy that we always hang in our schoolroom as we have independent study time and things that my daughter might loop through month to month or week to week. And so I added that here too, so that I could be referring back to this as I'm planning. I also printed out from the Waldock Way these cool unit study planner pages. And You want to know what was funny was I actually printed these exactly the way they are here. She also has an editable version, which you'll see I have edited some of the pages, and that is super cool, really flexible and helpful. I printed these on both sides, and then I started to plan out some unit studies that we're going to work on this year, and it totally didn't work because, again, I was like, I kind of need some just note space. It's not always just about the games, the activities, the videos, or the websites and the books that we're going to use. This is great reference, but I needed something a little more broad strokey, so I made another page of my own of notes, and it's just listed here as unit study, big picture plans, ideas, and goals. I got the concept for big picture plans from Kara Stevenson Anderson. She does about every 6 weeks, she kind of does a big picture planning page to just think about the next 6 weeks and base things that they're doing in their interest-led homeschool on that. And it's just a great place to kind of jot things down. So that's why I didn't go with the more simplified notes page, because this is a little bit more specific. It's going to be specific to each unit study that appears on the front. So for instance, this year in our course of study, we're going to be doing a whole year-long unit on philosophy. We're going to do another year-long unit on anatomy. So that'll show up here. I'll have lists of everything that I want or need, any resources. I can make a note if I already have them. And then my more broad ideas about what we're going to do will be all here for me to reference throughout the year. So I have a few of these to cover everyone that we're going to do this year. I made this page. It was a customizable chart that already appeared in the wall doc way. So I changed, I think it had 3 columns. I made it 2. I changed the headers, and I wanted to have something for enjoyment read alouds and then educational tie-ins. In our morning time this year, we're going to do a little bit of read aloud every day. We have so many topics and so many things that we want to cover, and I thought this would be a really fun way for family connection time and also just a great routine in the morning. So this is where that list of all those books that tie into everything we're learning about will be. And then we always do read alouds. I will read out loud to my daughter until she's, married and has children. And then I'll read to her children if she has them. As long as she will let me, I will read aloud. We all love to read aloud as a family. And it's just such a great, awesome experience. We get to really, really, really go through the story together and bond a little more deeply. And we always have something sweet to chat about or to check in about. So I start with my year overview in the planner. However, the next section is actually where I start my planning process. I start with this so that when I open up my planner, the first thing I see is our plan for the year, and I make sure that I'm on track. But where it all begins is with our assessment of last year and our vision for the upcoming year, which is something that my whole family participates in. I do love to recommend to new homeschoolers that as your kids are getting older, if you can involve them a little bit in the planning process, it gives them a sense of ownership over their homeschool experience. And it really helps you to know that you are on track with their interests as much as anything else that you're tracking. So, and I think it's really important. We always do a check-in, like what worked and what didn't, or what could we have done differently. And there's no judgment in it. It's just noticing. It's just a mindful practice of noticing how we are intentionally, consciously schooling in our house. So this year, this is a page from thepeacefulpress.com that I've had their planner pages, and I haven't really used a lot of them, but there are a few specific things that I really, really like, and this is one of them, an annual goals sheet. So this year, all 3 of us, there are 3 in my household, my husband, my daughter, and me, plus our dog Tilly, but I don't know if her annual goals go beyond lots of snuggles, naps, and cookies. All 3 of us will have a sheet just simply filled out these little boxes. And I really thought about, am I going to have my daughter do one of these? It has finances and professional growth. And I thought, well, yeah, actually, this is the year because she's 12 this year. She has a goal by the end of the year to start a babysitting business. She's actually going to be doing a babysitting course this year. She might have some financial goals. She might want to donate or purchase certain things. And so I thought it was a really, really smart time to actually get her involved in this sheet. So all 3 of us will have one of these activities filled out. That's always in here. This is another great questionnaire to kind of get your juices flowing from the Learning Well Community Alicia Hutchinson planning course. And it's just 9 questions for assessing your homeschool year. I keep these printed and in this plan book all the time. It never comes out. And then what changes every year is there's a different piece of paper back here where I've answered these questions for myself. If there's anything on here that my husband needs to, participate in or really wants to participate in, he can do the same thing. And then that just goes in the back of these questions. And then from Mary Wilson over at notbefore7.com, I love her experience of home and experience of school question sheets for kids to fill out. I've been doing this for a couple years now with my daughter. And what's nice about this is there's always space for you to put in your own custom questions. Sometimes I do this as an interview and I fill it out. If you have multiple children, that's going to be crazy. And you can just literally print it out and say, hey, I need this back by noon on Wednesday, and let them just go to town and give you all kinds of great inspirations for your homeschool. It's asking like, what are your 3 favorite topics? What are your 3 least favorite? Which is funny. My daughter's always like, I don't have any. What do we do during our school day that you'd love to do more often? One question that Alicia Hutchinson asks herself every year and guides other homeschoolers to ask is, what do we want more of and what do we want less of? And that to me is kind of similar to what's working and what isn't working. And this is very, very much along those lines. She also has, and this is just another one that I keep in here, she also has this additional question sheet. So if you need a little nudge in the right direction of what kinds of questions you might want to add here, or you could make a whole other sheet for your child based on these and your own custom questions. It's just a great starting point. This is really cool. If you're not familiar with Mary Wilson, she is all about book-led learning, and you should definitely go to notbefore7.com and check out all the fun things about like how to celebrate a book and teach from books and a real literature-based homeschool experience. So from there, we get right into the depth and the heart of our weeks, of our days. And now typically, up until this year, I have always had planning pages that actually went, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I did not necessarily utilize them very much. And I literally woke up recently while I was thinking about planning. I woke up in the morning one day and I was like, I had an aha epiphany moment and decided I really want to plan for the month. And I want to have a basic week plan. I don't necessarily need the daily thing. I would actually feel a little bit guilty when the days weren't all filled in. And I don't homeschool in a way that it's like at 7 a.m. we're doing this and at 8 a.m. we're doing this. Now, what's funny is we actually are going to have more routine in our homeschool this year. However, I'm at the point in our year that I don't need the same thing written down every single day. So a great overview is always helpful for me. I like to kind of look in over things and see how it's going. So I separate each month with these adorable little binder bookmarks, which I got at the dollar store. I got 2 packs of them at the dollar store, and I love them very much. They live in the binder all the time. They're all different colors, so every month gets something different. So we're starting here at September. I'll actually probably add an August page. We're going to actually do some things in August as well. But this is, again, a Wall Doc Way. Most of my planner pages this year, really to my surprise, are Wall Doc Way planning pages. I'm really, really happy with them. So I like to have a month overview. It's not really in depth, but this is a great place to be able to look down and go, oh, piano happens every Friday, and writing classes on Tuesday and Wednesday. And if there's anything, like I always do cute decorations for like winter break or whatever going all the way across. So I just have like the quick reference. And then what I plan to do this year that's going to be unique to me, but also inspired by Kara Anderson, is a monthly big picture planning page. The 6-week concept didn't work for my brain, but I love the idea. And so I made this monthly big picture plans, ideas, and goals sheet. It's just like the one that I used for unit planning. And this is where I will write down all the things that I want to make sure that we're learning, touching base on, that I want to remember for the month to come. And then I added on the back of this, so when I sit down for my once a month planning day, it's also going to be a once a month reflection day. I think part of being a mindful homeschooler is about intention and reflection, constantly flowing through those two things. So I will sit down at the beginning of each month, and obviously not the first month, but I will sit down and I'll do my month plan, and then I'll think back over the last month, or I'll go through our weeks from the previous month and think about what worked, what could we do differently, and really literally logging what did we do. For us, we have some monthly things that my daughter is expected to do, one a month, so I made a little box here and I can just simply check them off. Did they get done? If not, was there a reason they didn't? And they just made this little purple box because it was cute. I don't exactly know what I'm going to put in there yet, but I know that I'm going to use it. It might be a great place to highlight things that I really, really, really want to remember, or things for the upcoming month that are going to make some sense as I'm like reflecting here. So then our dailies, or in my case, weekly planning pages, are pretty simple. These are not from a homeschool planner. These are actually from another kind of planner on Etsy. She's got lots and lots of options. It's called srlprintables.com. And so she also does what I used to use was a sheet like this on this side. So it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through the week. But that's what I've actually decided to take out. But I still really liked this. I found that I was using this page more. So I just decided to omit this from the planner completely and focus here. This section of boxes will have any specific topics like math, anything specific that we want to make sure we're going to be doing big history project. So any notes that I need for specific plans for those things. This can have a broader section for each day. We'll be working on a different unit study for our course of study. So we'll have those topics written here. If I need to remember, we're going to do pages 52 to 57 in the such and such book or whatever. That will just all be here, kind of an at a glance thing. We have specific things that we're going to be doing in our mornings this year, and I'm going to have them listed through these boxes and have a little check off. This can also be for like a habit tracker if you want to make sure, that you're drinking enough water, or is everybody moving, or, we did a meditation every day, or whatever it is. So like ours are going to be things like yoga and meditation, read aloud, just various things like that we're going to do every single morning as a family together. I'm going to have them all listed in here. I've found this to be a great place for like library reminders or when things are due or whatever. But I added another page, which I made myself also to kind of match this page. I even made the stripies are so cute and colorful, going along with the srlprintables.com colorful cuteness, so that I can write again more broadly. And I have another couple checklists here for our weekly things and our daily things. I've noted if they're things that we're doing together, if they're things that are being done independently, just so that I can make sure this week math got done every day, vocabulary got done every day. We did big history project 2 times, or maybe we did it 62 times, whatever we did. And I can make little notes all throughout here. So, it's a very, very simple system, and that is what I wanted this year to try to simplify and see. And it just continues on like that with my little markers month after month after month until we get through to the end of the year, at which point you will see that I keep another note to myself, 2 notes to myself. This one literally says, note to self, you get into overwhelmed, stress, anxious territory trying to do the end of year wrap up and planning prepping for a new school year all at the same time. Give yourself time to do these tasks separately. You'll be thankful you did. That is very true. And I have a list inspired by the Learning Well Community Planning course about how to really move through moving out of one year and into another year. So this is my end of school year wrap up. It's my own things mixed in with what Alicia Hutchinson talks about, things like go through the schoolwork and schoolroom, make lists for supplies that are needed next year, organize the work from this year, and you're gonna file or trash it, empty my planning binder and store the pages with the schoolwork like I showed you at the beginning, print the new planning pages so they're ready before underline starting to plan next year. Vision next year through the summer, ready priming question sheets now. So I just keep those priming question sheets in like I showed you. And then in the back of my binder is where I keep kind of the more broad overview ideas and inspirations that either I want to just maintain, that I want to keep coming back to over a number of years, or things that are special things we're working on or things that come up through the year. So for instance, we were working on a big project with our Culture Club co-op on Brazil, and this is where I had our notes about that. I have like some different ideas about journaling and things like that. This is from a poetry class that I took teaching kids to love poetry. So I just keep these notes in the back. Anything on like science and nature journal, anything that I find or I print out, Pinterest is a great place, anything that I'm looking for online, that all goes back here. And then I just have another simple section for various logs. This is where I'm gonna have my attendance sheet. And this is, you can see why I didn't wanna show you the whole planner when it was all marked up, because it would be really hard to see. But I've already gone through the year and marked off all the weekends, when we're gonna have breaks, when we're gonna have holiday, time off and things like that. So it's really easy, and I will not be taking attendance on a daily basis. There's no reason for my one and only child to sit at the kitchen table and say, here. I will just, every month when I sit down to do my planning, I'll have the calendar next to me and I'll be like, yes, we did this, or we did a half day or whatever. Now, of course, your record keeping is going to depend on where exactly you live. I'll put a link to the resource space to see what all of the different requirements are throughout North America. There are some for Canada, there are some all for every state. Each province and each state has different requirements, and then there are some federal requirements too in some cases. So obviously how you keep your records and what logs are going to go in this section is going to be different, and that's another reason why I'm suggesting the binder method or the little slide in disc method, because you can customize it completely how you want and how you need. So I have made a page here from the Waldock way, passwords for things, because I'm kind of old school. And even though, they're in the computer, like how many times have I been in the middle of a homeschool day and my daughter's trying to log into one of her things and something got logged out and then we don't remember the password and we have to look it up, and, it's just a whole thing. And I thought, I don't actually, no, these are not passwords that I'm worried that if somebody were to steal, they were going to be like, it was going to be detrimental to us. So I've got that here. I printed out special things to remember or celebrate. This is a Waldock Way page that was actually based on specifically birthdays and anniversaries, but I customized the top here so that it would just go in the order that I wanted, and that it was more things than just birthdays and anniversaries. One fun thing we're doing this year, my daughter is going through the National Day of calendar, and she is selecting one of the days for every single month that she wants to celebrate or do something for in some way. So that'll be listed here, people's birthdays. I want her to be pen paling with certain friends so we can make sure that we have a note of which month is her month to write, things like that. And then I'm going to attempt to keep a log. I can totally keep a log of our read aloud books. I do not keep a book list or the log of all the books that my daughter reads, because there's just so many of them and they're for, pure enjoyment, even if they're educational. I just typically tend to stick to the ones that we read aloud as a family. It's a little easier to keep track of. I'm going to attempt for the first year to keep a game log for just educational games, obviously. I know friends who game all the time, all day long. That is how they school. They, instead of homeschool, they game school. And this would be impossible. They would need like 10 of these pages. But in our case, we don't game as much as others. And I thought this might be a fun thing just for the year, at the end of the year, to go back and be like, oh yeah, we did do, the Professor Noggins thing for science or health or anatomy or whatever. And it did tie in with that unit we were doing. And then at the end of the log section, I have just for my own point of reference printed out, my daughter's working kind of between a few different grades. So I've got some basic skills checklists for 7th, 8th, and high school, what you're thinking about, what you need. These came from the Waldock Way. And then this high school list, which is really, really in detail, came from Simplify Homeschool at simplifyforyou.com. And then there's skills checklists. So as we're going through the next few years, we can make a list of all the things that coincide with these. We can add them here and check them off, maybe put a date or a note or something. This is the first year that I'm doing this. As she's getting older, we've needed to evolve. So I may have to check back in and let you know how it's actually working, but this is the plan so far. At the end of my plan book, I do actually every year print out our local school district's calendar, just so that I have a reference and I can kind of know what our public school friends are going to be up to and just see where I am tracking in conjunction with public school. And then it can be fun depending on the type of curriculum you use. I don't always use things that require teacher guides or answer keys. We're very interest-led, and I customize a lot of things in our homeschool, but I have used certain things before where it's been helpful to have them. So I just made another divider page at the back here, and you can slip in any of those teacher guides or answer keys that you might need. And then because I found these a few years ago and I thought they were handy and super cute, I have these 2 file folders in the back so I can store things. Usually I'll store things like extra sheets of paper, so if I need to fill something out, I don't have to go looking for it. If I want to add to like the ideas page, I will add current materials. If there's any printables that I'm going to need to use for any of these things, they go in here. And again, we get to another flap. I've got all my local library goodies in here. And that is that. It is a simple system that works for me, and I know that it is something that you could replicate and do a really customized job of making a unique, awesome planner that's going to work and make your homeschool year run more smoothly, get all those things that are in your homeschool parent brain out of your head and onto paper, and give you more of a sense of ease and calm and joy in your homeschool. So I hope this is super, super helpful. You can always reach out, just hit contact, and I will be happy to support you in any way that I can. Namaste.